All right. So you can use a scanner to make digital copies of existing paper photos, documents, drawings, and more. Better scanners give you the option of copying directly from a photographic negative or slide, providing images of stunning visual quality. Assuming the original photo was halfway decent, of course. In this section, you look at how scanners work and then turn what you need to know to select, and then turn to what you need to know to select the correct scanner for your clients. I don't think I need to explain how scanners work, even though you guys are not saying anything. I'm sure you guys know what the scanner is and how scanners work. Am I right? Okay. Well, let's just go through it in case you're unsure. So all flatbed scanners, which is the most common type of scanner, work the same way. You place a photo or other object face down on the glass, which we call the platen. You close the lid or the cover, and then you use some software to initiate the scan. The scanner runs a bright light along the length of the platen once or more to capture the image. Figure 2712 shows an open scanner. So that's what the scanner looks like when it's opened, right? You put the paper face down on here, and then you scan the image, it copies what it sees, so you can see the paper right here, right? With the image face down, so you cannot see it. And then you can copy the image to your computer from the scanner. Just a note, many serious scanners and multifunction devices will have an auto document feeder, which, unlike the flatbed scanner, is a tray that holds a multi-page document and feeds it into the scanner one page at a time, which can remove most of the manual labor from this process. So if you want to scan a multi-page document, then you would need an auto document feeder. Well, you don't need it, but it's a lot more convenient to use an auto document feeder that will automatically scan each page, pass it through the scanner, and then take the next one and scan it, all right, until it scans the entire stack. The scanning software that controls the hardware can manifest in a variety of ways. Nearly every manufacturer has some sort of drivers and other software to create an interface between your computer and the scanner. When you push the front button on the Epson Perfection scanner, for example, the Epson software opens, ready to start scanning. Let me summarize that. Basically, you can scan from the device or you can scan from the computer, all right, using different software. Most scanners give you multiple options to scan, so you can use either or whatever is convenient for you, right? And some also enable you to scan like over the network, all right? But you can also open your favorite image editing software first, like Photoshop or whatever else you guys use, and choose to acquire a file from a scanner. Figure 2714 shows the process of acquiring an image from a scanner in the popular free image editing software, GIMP. As in most such software, you go to File or Create, and then you select Scanner, or you might select Import, right? That might be the other option. In this case, the scanner uses the traditional twin drivers. Twin stands for Technology Without an Interesting Name. And literally, that's what it stands for. And has been the default driver type for scanners for a long time. So most of your applications support twin drivers, right? And if you see that, it typically means that you can use that twin option or twin driver import option to import images from your scanner to whatever application that you're looking at. So that's what the scanning interface on your computer would look like when you open it up. So you open up the Epson scan, you configure all of your settings, your print quality, whether you want to scan in black and white or color, all right, and your various options, your adjustments if necessary. And that would be a preview right there. You can see what is going to scan, and you can select just the area you want to scan, as you can see indicated by the dotted line. All right. And then you just click the big scan button right there. Right. And somewhere here, it will actually tell you exactly where in the computer it would save the file, or in one of your settings anyway. All right. Or you could click on configuration to configure where exactly the file will be saved. But scanning is a simple process. It's straightforward, and you should be able to figure it out if you haven't scanned before. One of the other apps that you can use if you have never scanned before and you cannot find a suitable app on your PC is Windows Fax and Scan. All right. That is an app that comes with Windows. So I'm sure you guys have it. You can look it up. You can use it for faxing and scanning, as the name implies. How to choose a scanner. I'm going to leave that for you guys to read, because most times you don't choose a scanner. Most times we choose an all-in-one printer that comes with a scanner, and we just take whatever scanning quality we get. You only really want to be careful when choosing a scanner if you're like me, you're a graphic designer, or you work with a lot of images, and sometimes you need to get the best quality representation of an image, right? But for the most part, your basic scanner should be able to give you good enough quality prints. All right. But the things to consider are resolution, color depth, grayscale depth, and scan speed. All right. I'm also not going to go through the configurable variables. That is all of the settings that I showed you that you would be essentially configuring in your scanner app here, such as your contrast, your brightness, how the image will be represented, if you're going to scan it in black and white, in color, whether you want 42-bit color, 48-bit color, right? Essentially, that would be your configuration, your configurable variables. Whether you want to scan it in high quality 300 DPI, or you want to scan it in screen quality 72 DPI, right? All of those you will configure. That here shows the GIMP application, and it shows how you would import an image from your scanner. So you click on the file menu, you go to create, and then scanner camera. Most other applications wouldn't have a create option. What they would have is an import option somewhere down here. You would click import, and you would see similar options like here, scanner camera. You might see Twin, you might see WIA for Windows image acquisition or Windows image acquire. That's another method of acquiring images from your scanners, right? But these are the options that you really want to look for. Or you can always just open up your scanning app on your PC and scan that way. Older scanners can create images of only 600 by 600 dots per inch. All right, but that is real older scanners. Newer models achieve 4 times that density, and high-end machines do much more. Manufacturers cite 2 sets of numbers for a scanner's resolution. The resolution it achieves mechanically, which is the optical resolution, and the enhanced resolution it can achieve with the assistance of some onboard software. I'm trying to remember the term for it. Digital resolution. How can I forget that, right? So you would see sometimes the manufacturer gives you 2 resolutions: optical resolution, digital resolution, right? You might also come across those terms if you're dealing with digital cameras. You might hear about optical zoom and digital zoom. Basically, optical resolution is what the scanner can see with its actual mechanics, with its lenses and its lights and everything that it has. Digital resolution will enhance what the physical components of the scanner sees in a way that can enhance it a bit more, right? Either increase the color, increase the resolution, or whatever the case might be. Okay, but it would result in lower overall quality. So you want to always use optical resolution as much as possible. The enhanced resolution or the digital resolution numbers are useless. I recommend at least 2400 by 2400 dpi optical resolution or better. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of detail in it, the bit depth, for instance, and the number of colors it can represent. But for the most part, people don't look, or not people, but us locally don't look at that those features when we purchase in a scanner. We typically just purchase an all-in-one printer with a scanner built in. All right. I'm leaving all of these for you to read. You're not going to be tested specifically on the configuration settings, but just so you know what's available on the scanner. Here's a pretty good example of an earring scanned at 72 dpi, 24-bit color. Of course, we're not seeing the color at all, but we can see the pixelation and the low quality of the earring, right? As opposed to the same earring scanned at 300 dpi, 300 dots per inch at 24-bit color. You can see all of the detail rather than dots starting to break up the image. This is the same earring scanned at 1200 dpi, even larger. You can see even more detail, right? And it appears much larger as an image on the screen. So that is just a change in resolution. 72 dpi, which is screen resolution, 300 dpi, which is really your print resolution, and 1200 dpi, which is your extra high quality resolution. All right. Scanning speed, I'm gonna leave that for you guys to read through. And also the scanning tips. All right, let's run through that. The scanning and printing capabilities of a multifunction device enable manufacturers to add copy machine features easily. So because you have a printer and they bundle a scanner with it, it makes it easy for you to just say, hey, scan this and print it one time. So you have a photocopying machine by default, right? To copy a document or photo, you essentially scan a document or photo and then print it, but all with a single press of the copy button. So if you have a multifunction device, you may have a number of buttons, scan, whatever, but one of the options of buttons that you have located on the device itself is the copy button. You may even have two copy buttons, one for color copy, one for black and white copy. All right. Faxing generally requires separate functions in the machine, such as a document feed and a connection to a traditional analog phone line. So for faxing, typically you would need to plug in your phone line to the printer. Assuming you have those and an account with a local telecom company, the process of faxing is pretty simple. You put a document in the feeder, plug in the fax number, and press the send button or whatever the manufacturer labels it, and your fax will go. To receive a fax is just as simple. When a fax comes in, your printer will ring just like a fax machine. You will have configured it to answer automatically, probably after 2 or 3 rings. Once it answers, it'll make connection with the other machine and your fax will come through. The printer will essentially print it as would print any other normal device. Sorry, any other normal document, sorry. Exam tip. Although Comptia added multifunction devices to the exam objectives, you're likely only get questions on various printer technologies. Likely. Connectivity. What different method do you guys know of to connect a printer or multifunction device to your computer? I see we have one there as a dead giveaway, USB. We know that already, right? Give me another one.
Bluetooth.
Bluetooth, which is less common for printers, but yeah, they do exist. What else?
So wire connection.
Say that again, Janelle.
The older firewire connections, you could find them on it as well.
Older firewire connections, yes, but that's for older printers. What are the
Not,
more
not
popular?
necessarily though, because I have a HP that's, let's say, just before Maria, and it has a firewire connector on it.
Really? What's the model? It has firewire and USB or just firewire?
Firewire, USB, Ethernet. It has all of the options that you would
Okay.
find
So
for that time.
so as a newer printer, it would have it for backward compatibility. The older printers you would find would have a firewire only connection. Right? That's how you know it's an older printer for because firewire is really an older connection. You still find it in use, but most times right now it's actually eclipsed by USB. But yeah, you are right. You will find some printers with multiple connections. So we have USB, FireWire, Bluetooth. What else? The most popular ones now.
Ethernet, Wi-Fi.
Ethernet and Wi-Fi. So Ethernet would be through your network cable, your RJ45 pit you plug into the back of your printer, if it supports it. And most printers also come with a built-in wireless adapter that will actually connect to your wireless network and enable you to print wirelessly. One part of it I want to go through from here. Today, the typical network printer comes with its own built-in Wi-Fi adapter to enable wireless printing over infrastructure or ad hoc network connections, though you should avoid ad hoc. Can you guys tell me what's the difference between infrastructure and ad hoc network connections?
Well, ad hoc is really like point to point.
Point to point. So explain how that would work in terms of the printer.
Like you just run a network cable between two devices.
Okay, well, not that would be a direct cable connection if you run a network. But ad hoc typically refers to wireless, right? And what it means is, you see, just like how you connect to a Bluetooth device, you can actually connect to your printer. So you would see your printer as a wireless network or wireless network device, and you can connect to your printer, right? So instead of connecting to your wireless network, you connect directly to the printer's Wi-Fi adapter, and you can print like you have a direct cable connection. That is ad hoc. Infrastructure means it's connected through your Wi-Fi, and you're also connected through your Wi-Fi. So the infrastructure that you have would be a wireless router, or in the case of with a cable, it will be plugged into a central switch, not directly to the computer. So infrastructure connects to some other device in between, either a router, a switch, a modem, right? And ad hoc is where you connect your device directly to the printer, and then you print over the network, right?
Cool.
Would that be the one they call Wi-Fi Direct?
Wi-Fi, right? Wi-Fi direct.
Okay.
All right. So Comptia uses ad hoc as one word, but whether you see it ad hoc, it means the same thing. But you should avoid ad hoc connection for security reasons when possible, right? Again, we spoke about that briefly in chapter 22. When you connect to a printer ad hoc, you essentially open up your device to the printer connection. It may not actually be an actual printer. It might be a hacker faking an open connection that you can connect to and then give them access to your computer, right? That's just an example of why you should be careful. Of course, if it's your personal printer at your home and you know that's all that's there, and you just want to make a quick and dirty connection to print, then by all means do your ad hoc connection. Okay. All right. Let me just read that note before we continue. Since printers tend to have longer lives than most other computing devices, be aware that printers with a built-in wireless print connection might be using older Wi-Fi or Bluetooth standards than you're used to encountering. So for instance, you might have a wireless N router, but your Bluetooth device still uses wireless G. Or you may be using WPA or WPA2 or WPA2 enterprise encryption for security, and your printer may not support that level of security. You might have to either reduce the security to WPA or upgrade the printer to one that can support the type of encryption that you're using. So these little various things might come up, but these are minor issues. All right. Even if a printer does not come with built-in Ethernet, Wi-Fi, or Bluetooth, you can purchase a standalone network device known as a print server to connect your printer to the network. But beware that you may not be able to use all features of a multifunction device connected to a print server. These print servers, which can be Ethernet or Wi-Fi, enable one or several printers to attach by a USB cable or even parallel port if you still have a printer that old. You may not need to go to the store to find a print server though. Check your router first to see if it has an integrated print server. If it does, you may be able to plug into your printer. You may be able to plug your printer into a USB port on the router. So take that ancient image writer dot matrix printer and network it. I dare you. You can also turn your computer, your desktop computer, into a print server by networking your printer, all right? And we will look at that process a little later on in chapter. Not sure if we'll be able to get to it tonight, but yeah, you can do that as well. Oh, there we are. There we have note on it. Exam tip. You'll find print servers outside network devices. In fact, your Windows system is capable of operating as a print server. Anytime you plug a printer into a computer and share the printer over the network, the sharing system can be referred to as a print server. So if you have a printer connected to your computer that other computers are printing through, your computer is acting as a print server. All right. And of course, there are plenty of other connection types that we didn't get to, we may not see. We focus mainly on USB and the network connections, but you have older printers that may use parallel, which is your RJ25, right? Or serial port or SCSI. Although this is unlikely, it is a possibility. You might also see standalone scanners using Thunderbolt. All right, that's pretty much it for scanners. Any questions?
No, sir.
All right, I'm guessing everybody's good. All right, so this right here, the laser print process, is the most important part of the chapter. Most of the questions you're going to get on printers will revolve around an understanding of the laser printing process or understanding the troubleshooting or the errors you might get with different types of printers, right, in troubleshooting. So I think we will go through the laser printing process and we will stop there for the night, right, and continue in the next class. I sort of briefly explained the laser print process as I was explaining the various components of the laser printer, right? We're just gonna go through it by name. It's actually a 7-step process, and you need to understand what happens on each step and the names of those steps for the A+ exam. So let's go through that right now. The laser printing process. The imaging process with a laser printer breaks down into 7 steps, and then A+ exam expects you to know them all. As a tech, you should be familiar with these phases, as this can help you troubleshoot printing problems. If an odd line is printed down the middle of every page, for example, you know there's a problem with the photosensitive drum or cleaning mechanism, and the toner cartridge needs to be replaced. The 7 steps to the laser printing process may be performed in a different order depending on the printer. But it usually goes like this. The first step is processing. The second step is charging. The third step is exposing. The fourth step is developing. The fifth is transferring. The sixth is fusing. And the seventh is cleaning. Now the steps are cyclical. So after cleaning comes the first step again. If you want to print another page, processing, charging, exposing, developing, transferring, fusing, cleaning, and back again. Sometimes you might see cleaning as the first step. So you might see cleaning, processing, charging, exposing, developing, transferring, fusing, cleaning, processing, charging, exposing, developing, transferring, fusing. But the names of the steps and what happens on each step is essentially the same. Let's go for that. Processing. When you click the print button in an application, several things happen. First, the CPU processes your request and sends a print job to an area of memory called the print spooler. You may have heard of it. The print spooler enables you to queue up multiple print jobs that the printer will handle sequentially, meaning one after the other. Next, Windows sends the first job to the printer. That's your first potential bottleneck. If it's a big job, the OS has to dole out pieces at a time, and you'll see the little printer icon in the notification area at the bottom right of your screen. Once the printer icon goes away, you know that the print queue is empty. All jobs have gone to the printer. Once the printer receives some or all of a print job, the hardware of the printer takes over and processes the image. So really, when you click send, right, the printer receives the print job, and then the hardware of the printer takes over and processes the image. That is really the processing step, right? That's your second potential bottleneck, which has multiple components. I'm gonna leave the potential bottlenecks for afterwards, or we'll move it another time, or actually in the troubleshooting, right? But know that depends on the composition of your images. If your images, so of your pages, it might have a lot of high quality images, for instance, right? That would affect how quickly your images can be transferred to your printer and how quickly it can be processed to print. All right. So raster images, resolution, all those are potential bottlenecks. We're moving on to the next step. Charging. Now, I did skip a few paragraphs which explain the bottlenecks. It wasn't anything about the print process. I just want to go through the print process now. But in your reading, go through and try and understand exactly what they're trying to tell you, the bottleneck there, right? But the first step is processing. Second step is charging. So now we turn to the physical side of the printing process. To make the drum receptive to new images, it must be charged. Using the primary corona wire or primary charge ruler, a uniform negative charge is applied to the entire surface of the drum, usually between -600 and -1000 volts, or about that. All right. So the primary corona wire or ruler rolls onto the drum, and everywhere it touches the drum, it charges it with a high negative charge. Or well, since it's negative, it would be a really low charge, right? The next step is exposing. A laser is used to create a positive image on the surface of the drum. Every particle on the drum hit by the laser or exposed to the laser releases most of its negative charge into the drum. So the laser is used to expose the drum to the light, right? therefore making it lose the negative charge in the areas where the laser passed. That is your exposing stage. Everybody understand that?
Yes.
All right. The next step is the developing stage. Those particles with a lesser negative charge are positively charged relative to the toner particles and attract them, creating a developed image. So you can see here, that big circle there is a drum, and you can see what the developed image look like. The laser pass and draw or write the image or the text onto the drum, and you can see the toner essentially just releases the toner over just the areas that the laser drew over, creating the image on the drum. The next step is the transferring stage. The printer must transfer the image from the drum onto the paper. The transfer corona or transfer roller gives the paper a positive charge. Then the negatively charged toner particles leap from the drum to the paper. At this point, the particles are merely resting on the paper and must still be permanently fused to the paper. So the paper passes next to the exposed drum, and the image is transferred from the drum to the paper during the transferring stage. Fusing. The particles have been attracted to the paper because of the paper's positive charge. But if the process stopped here, the toner particles would fall off the page as soon as you lift it. Because the toner particles are mostly composed of plastic, they can be melted to the page. Two rollers, a heated roller and a coated in a non-stick material, and a pressure roller melt the toner to the paper, permanently affixing it. Finally, a static charge eliminator removes the paper's positive charge. Once the page is complete, the printer ejects the printed copy, and the process begins again with the physical and electrical cleaning of the printer. So that takes us to the final stage, or sometimes you might call it the first stage, which is the cleaning of the drum, right? The printing process ends with the physical and electrical cleaning of the photosensitive drum. Before printing another new page, the drum must be returned to a clean, fresh condition. All residual toner left over from printing the previous page must be removed, usually by scraping the surface of the drum with a rubber cleaning blade, like a little squeegee, like what you just clean your glass with, right? Because if residual particles remain on the drum, they will appear as random black spots on your next print, right? So random black spots on your prints indicate a failure in the cleaning stage of your drum. The physical cleaning mechanism either deposits the residual toner in a debris cavity, or what we call a waste bin or waste toner box, right? And recycles it by returning it to the toner supply in the toner cartridge. The physical cleaning must be done carefully. A damaged drum will cause a mark to be printed on every page until it is replaced. So if you ever get a printer that printing a mark, a black mark on every page, it's because the drum is damaged and it needs to be changed. All right. The printer must also be electrically cleaned. Remember, it's physically cleaned with the little squeegee that wiping off the extra toner from it. But it still has the charge, right? Remember those lamps we spoke about in the beginning? One or more erase lamps bombard the surface of the drum with the appropriate wavelengths of light, causing the surface particles to discharge into the grounded drum. After the cleaning process, the drum should be completely free of toner and have a neutral charge. These are the steps, the 7 steps of the laser print process. All right. And if you understand those steps, they can help you to figure out what's wrong with printing. For instance, if your laser printer keeps sending out blank pages, what could be a potential problem? Well, we know that two things must happen. The drum must be exposed to the laser, right? In order to get the image to write on it. And then the toner, sorry, the drum must also be developed by passing it next to the toner and have the toner jump to the drum. The last stage is where, well, the transferring stage where the toner is transferred to the paper. A failure at any one of these stages will result in a blank page being ejected, right? And if we know what components are active on that stage, then we know where to look for the source of the problem. Any questions on the laser print process? No? All right. We're gonna stop here this evening. And in our next class, we're gonna start back the same place with the laser print process, make sure we understand it. And then we're going to wrap up on the printers and multifunction devices by going through the troubleshooting. All right. So we're gonna end abruptly here tonight. And I will see you guys next week, Thursday, if all goes well. All right.
Okay, so good night.
All right, guys. All right, have a good night. Go through the chapter, and if you have any questions, feel free to let me know.
Sure.
All right, guys. Nice having you all again after so long.